Right.
So
What are we
another
talking about today?
episode.
What are we talking about today?
So first, I want to confess to my screw up of last week when we had Christmas sweaters. I forgot to
You done fucked up.
disable a couple of settings on the clean HDMI feed. So we're gonna put on our sweaters for a little bit afterwards to make up for that. But yeah,
I was very upset.
yeah,
Very, very upset.
I was very
it
upset.
happens.
No, you weren't. You were like, we don't need video.
Nobody needs to see this face. Nobody needs to see this face.
But I had to control myself because no one's harder on themselves more than Ro.
Yeah,
So
I was
couldn't-
devastated.
I couldn't lecture him.
I was
So I just let it be.
devastated.
Let him simmer in his mistake. But
There's like some AI softwares that could like work on removing like the settings, but the problem is that the eye focus was shown in the display. So every time somebody moved, the eye focus was tracking. So
Mm.
there's no way to get rid of that. Like, so it was unusable.
yeah.
What was wrong with it?
So when you hook up your camera to a HDMI, you have to turn off the display settings, or else it'll show
the whole
you
display.
your
Because it shows on
aperture, all your
your
settings.
Got it,
Yeah.
got it.
So it shows all that
So
stuff.
yeah, it was an amateur move. They were new cameras, so we haven't used them.
Noob.
Yeah.
We're professionals
We're
here,
not
guys.
Come on.
videographers.
We're in that day and age where we're
Amateur
everything.
hour,
We're
guys.
everything now. We're videographers. We're therapists. We're planners. We're content creators.
We're bartenders.
We can't be bartenders. We can't be good at it all. It's okay. You're forgiven.
Can't be good at everything.
The audio came out great.
We're still going to use
It's
it, right?
questionable. Let's see if there's
Oh,
anything
yeah.
because we were a little
We were-
intoxicated last week. So
I didn't realize how boozy that drink was. That was my bad as well. It wasn't because I had a heavy hand. I just didn't realize how much booze I had
You
put
have
into the
heavy
drink.
hand.
yeah.
But in any
I
case,
was fine. It was just you guys that were.
So the jury's still out when our producer listens to it to see if it's even like
salvageable,
Yeah.
right?
good content because we were drunk.
I think that was the first one where we were all, well, most of us were really drunk. And I think Ro was feeling pretty good too.
Yeah.
It
Towards
was,
the end, yeah. On the second drink, it was
it was very boozy. What was it? It was
What
the,
was the second-
orange. Was it the orange? The orange?
it was a spritz. Something with a spritz.
It wasn't an
No.
No, it was the whipped cream one.
Whipped cream.
With
the
the
orange.
rose petal,
With the rose
right?
petal.
With the rose petal, yeah.
Yeah, didn't it have apple?
Such pretty drinks. We can't even show on video anymore.
No, but didn't you take a like a reel of it?
Yeah.
Like a
Yeah,
boomerang?
yeah.
That's all right.
Yo, but
And-
today's drink was pretty cool too.
What
I
is
was
it?
very- I'm
It's-
very
it's
happy
like a
about
latte.
today's drink.
After you mixed in the coffee, it's not good anymore. You need more Kahlua and the other stuff. It's just like weird coffee flavor now.
Just when you're always here.
Carrots will
You
keep you
gotta give me
humble.
that.
Yeah,
You're
you
like,
gotta-
water it down. It's weird
How's it
now.
watered down? I add coffee to it.
I know, you're not supposed to. It was
All right,
perfect before.
whatever.
You threw off the ratio.
Yeah, it's now it's coffee. Like,
well,
ooh.
mine is good because you didn't touch mine. Mine was over there.
Yeah, yours is color's
I'll-
different.
So what
too.
is it, Ben? What
All
is
right.
it?
It's like an Irish coffee. I guess it would be an Irish coffee, but I added some other stuff on there. So it's got coffee, it's got Irish cream, it's got Kahlua. I topped it off with a little bit of whipped cream, and I sprinkled some chocolate powder on it.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It tastes
good.
delicious.
Well, yours does. Everybody else's, I think I ruined.
Not
No, I
mine.
like mine.
It did in the beginning.
I like mine.
But I think this is my first warm drink. I don't usually make warm cocktails, but today I think it called for it.
Yeah.
We're
Now
not going to make an icy
it's-
drink
it's
today.
But now
pretty
it's hot
toasty
in here.
Yeah.
Well, it's hot where I was setting up. It's hot over there. Over here, it feels
Yeah.
perfect. I'm kind of glad.
But I'm glad that you guys like this drink. I'll do better next time, guys. I promise.
I think you could do a hot apple cider drink too.
Mm.
You did it last time, no? Didn't you?
I've
do
never
Not
made
the
an
hot
apple
one.
cider.
Was
What
cool.
was the drink
Apple
that you
cider
made on top
old-fashioned.
of the furnace there?
Oh, that was for like just our get together.
Yeah, but what was that? It was like
Was it a hot drink?
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
Amaro and prunes.
Oh.
It's like,
I remember
what the
that.
fuck is, who
I
the
don't
fuck puts
remember
Amaro and
It took like an hour to make.
Yeah.
It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. It was very sweet. Yeah, but I thank you for being guinea pigs for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate
It wasn't bad. It was pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah.
We had like 6 drinks that night.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of drinking.
Well,
There's a theme.
what were we doing here that day?
Just hang
Testing
out.
my drinks.
Oh,
Testing my drinks recipes.
Yeah, that's when we, I think, just finished the studio, right? And we were drinking.
oh
already.
yeah.
Now we got a purpose for it.
There's
Yeah.
also a picture of me on your swing there, just like
Just
dozed
by
off.
yourself.
Remember that?
Oh, that was
Yeah.
the same day though.
No, that
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a barbecue.
Yeah.
Just sitting by yourself, lonely
Yeah.
man. Yeah. So what have you guys been up to the last couple of weeks?
Finished my presentation last night for the summit.
I have one more section to go and I'm done.
I'm all done.
So wait, did you finish your slides too?
What she said.
What I said.
Did
We
you-
went
did
out
you
drinking
email it?
yesterday, and I was like, I'm not going to work. Went back home, wore
the whole
off. I
thing.
watched your live,
Aw.
sobered me up. I was like, let me go work on this.
Was
I
that
was like,
why-
I'm gonna work for an hour. I was up there for like 3 hours and then got it done.
Was that why you were so active on my live last night? You were talking a lot, very chatty.
No,
I wasn't working
no,
yet.
We were downstairs.
We were just watching
TV.
on-
Yeah,
Watching it on the laptop in the living
I
room.
was editing, I think, and we were watching it. Yeah.
Oh, but yes, I was active because I was a little intoxicated. But
That's what I was saying. I was like, Jen's not usually this active on my lives. I was
Jen,
like,
Jen.
yeah. Jen Molina says this. Jen Molina. I was like, wow, those margaritas must have been really good.
oh, they
The
were
chat.
amazing margaritas. Amazing margaritas. Shout out to Sophia's Taqueria in Old Bridge. Just opened up
It's
yesterday.
delicious.
On point.
Yeah.
Amazing. Loved it.
Yeah. We'll check it
And
out.
kept me working last night.
We'll see.
So
We'll
I'm
see.
all set.
We'll see if we can get them a
We,
sponsor spot on our podcast.
Food sponsor margaritas.
We also wrapped up our wedding season last weekend too.
How's the
So-
wedding editing queue?
Just 3
Not
3
bad.
to go. Yeah, and I'm trying to get it done.
Funny that
Yeah.
he was
ASAP.
like, because we don't have any image reveals until didn't have anything to middle of January. So he's like, I'm gonna just relax.
Yeah,
blah,
for the
blah.
holiday.
I got like 2 weeks, no editing. Then we get 2 emails come in that those people bumped up their meetings to like the first week of January.
You gotta get
Like,
it done.
shit.
Gotta get it done.
So I might as well get out of the way.
So we've been friends for a number of years, and you know how every year we share what our queues look like.
Yeah.
In January, I think we have nothing.
Oh shit!
No.
Nice.
Oh, PPS got like 4.
Okay, I know nothing
That
then.
has been.
Karen,
Shut
oh,
your
I
mouth.
correct you.
Yeah, I am
Shut
playing
your
it
mouth.
away here.
I was like, Benlau's done.
I was exporting weddings this morning.
That's pretty good because like usually like
In January,
Yeah.
I would have
You
like
have
15,
like
20.
right every time I talk to you guys, you always have like anywhere between like 10 to 20 in that range.
Mhm.
That's pretty good. But
Mhm.
also like I don't think
I think
we
AI
shot as
helped.
AI
much.
helped us a lot.
That
Yeah.
and AI helped a lot.
The little
Mhm.
reduction in weddings.
It wasn't
Yeah.
a slight reduction in our volume, but also AI helped us a whole bunch.
Yep.
Mhm.
And the fact we still have a human editor on our team,
Yeah.
all of that together. I mean, we basically have zero pipeline. She
She like gets it done. I'm like, how is this happening?
it's that pregnancy brain.
Yeah. Well, that's because she's
Straight
walking away
focused.
with like an MDQ
Yeah.
for her maternity leave.
What's MDQ?
She's walking away. Her queue's empty.
Yes, she's
Oh,
clean
MDQ.
slate.
I
Yeah.
thought that was like an acronym for something like
No.
MDQ. I was like, what the fuck is an MDQ?
There's
Is there something-
the last time I saw Jeannie, I was like, how long it takes you to edit a wedding? I'm just trying to compare how long it takes me. It's the same thing. I was all right, good. All right. We're on the same page.
Yeah, but her
because-
day is like an actual day. Your day is like split into like
Yeah, no, but
4
still,
days.
it still takes me a day. If I really sit down, I get it done in a day.
Yeah, Jeannie
Yeah.
gets it
So-
done in about 6 hours, I want to say.
Yeah.
Maybe,
That's what she
maybe
said.
less
She-
than
she-
a day.
she
She
said
like
it's like a
gets it
day,
done.
And depending on the wedding, she could do like one engagement session.
Yeah.
And she's doing it while watching Netflix. So
That's
Nice.
eye focus too.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. We all needs to watch something.
hmm
All right,
you guys ready to start this podcast?
let's do it.
Yes, let's go.
I'm ready.
Hey guys, welcome to the Focus Day podcast. My name is Ben,
This is Karis.
This is Jen.
And this is Ro.
and we are Focus Day F.
Yes.
Or
Sounded
trying to be.
Always.
We're trying
that
to
sounded
be.
so
As always.
exciting.
It's like we are focused.
I'm so fucking exhausted, guys. You don't even know.
You're exhausted.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, you're exhausted. I'm exhausted.
They're both exhausted.
Ben takes he comes home, he takes like 5-hour naps.
Oh, power naps.
And then,
Little
and,
power
then, and,
naps.
then, and then he's up all night. I'm like, that's because you took naps.
No,
That's true.
no.
He gets a nap.
Yo,
in?
she got no. You know what? She's like, you're up in the middle of the night watching videos and waking me. I was like, hey, you were totally drinking. I was zonked out by 10 o'clock. I was like, you're
That is-
trying to
that
get me in
is-
trouble for
That
something
is
you dreamt about.
every
Yeah.
night, every night. I'm like, stopping on your video.
I
And then
was not.
It's
You-
fine. I don't care if you're watching something, but like his volume up. I'm like, I am sleeping.
Him too. Like YouTube,
Oh,
2 in the morning. Why?
It's okay when you do it.
I don't do it.
Yeah.
You do it all the
I
time.
watch stuff without volume. I'm like, consideration.
I'm in the
Yes.
car driving. She's watching all TikTok or
You're so
Instagram.
full of
or
nonsense.
Driving, you're
Guys,
driving.
whatever
guys,
she
guys,
watches.
This is, not this is not the Focus Day of therapy session. Couples therapy, okay?
This is,
guys?
like,
We'll
this
save
is-
it for next year.
this is a horrible way to segue into our guest.
So who do we have today?
Who do we have today?
He does not have-
Let's talk about how he entered our lives, right? So why don't you guys start?
So
He's-
obviously
he knows him
I've
first.
known our guest the longest. I was introduced to our guests from actually a friend of the podcast, Moses
Uh-huh.
and Hassan. They were friends with Leo. I think Moses was like your official like second shooter during that time, and Hassan will like tag along to like learn. So I was friends with Hassan and Moses, and they would hang out with Leo. So they brought me in to that circle, and we've been friends ever since then. So that's like what, like probably 8 years ago, 9 years ago,
Mm-hmm.
something like
Well,
that.
welcome, Leandro de Silva.
Welcome,
Awesome.
welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to the shit show.
I'm gonna walk out. Let you guys resolve this.
Leo is
That's a good
well,
idea.
actually, you do work with your wife, but not in the photo
Right,
capacity.
yep.
Right.
Correct.
Yep.
So give us actually a background on you,
Right.
your work, and then segue into
Which
your
part do you want? You want the work with the wife, or you want like how?
both.
All right.
The journey from where you started, and then segue into the salon and all that good stuff.
All right.
It was 1978.
Right. Yeah. No. So it's long. It's a very long and kind of things kind of fell into what I do now. I have a fine art background, so ever since I was young, I guess you call it a talent. I was interested in painting, drawing. I was really not into school necessarily.
Yeah, I hated school.
You know, it's just it wasn't attracting to me. But like teachers said, if they could grade me based on my art ability, I would be a straight A student. You know that can't happen. So I always loved art. Like I always loved art. And then once I got to high school, I still continued doing my art, but I was more into sports. I played soccer. So in my idea, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna be a soccer player. I'm gonna be a professional soccer player, and that's all I'm gonna do.
The next, well, Messi was probably like the same age as you during that time.
No, they were not even. Yeah, he would be at the
Yeah,
same age.
yeah.
So it was like,
I was
but
thinking-
it was one of those things where I was still doing art. I would go to private art lessons. So I did have that weekly private art lessons. I'm very detailed, and I would paint landscapes, still lives.
Nice.
I hated drawing people because people. You can really see the detail in people, and I couldn't achieve that detail that I wanted, that standard I want. So I always just kind of shied away from actually drawing people,
Mhm.
but still lives and landscapes. I loved it. So I got to a point where then my counselor in high school was like, "What are you gonna do now?"
Don't you love that when
and
you're
I'm
like 16 and
I'm
like, what are
I'm
you
gonna
doing
keep
with your
playing
life?
soccer.
Yeah, that's exactly what I told her. I'm like, I'm gonna go play soccer in college. She's like, no, but to get to college, you're gonna need to a major. You got to pick a major. I'm like, oh, great, art. Like, or actually, no, I'll take it back. She gave me a list of all these majors, and I'm looking through them. I'm like, I don't know, like what the hell these things are. Like, and at this point, I didn't have to work when I was in high school. Like, I was just focused on school and playing soccer. So I'm like, I don't even know what I want to do. Like, I have no experience. Is like, and then I went down the list. And I'm like, they're like, oh, art, fine art. That's art. Like what I did in school, right? Yeah. So I went with art. I ended up going to a local college. I actually showed up with my portfolio, and they actually accepted me on the spot because of my portfolio. And they were like, this is actually freshman, sophomore level portfolio that you have here. And they were impressed with it. So I'm like, all right, cool. That was like maybe the first time that I actually, not validation, because I knew it was better than other kids, but it was actually like from someone at that like I guess the standard, like, wow, this is actually really, really good.
Where they were like, "What's your name?" You were like Leandro.
Right?
They were like, "Oh, this guy's a natural, like,
Yeah.
natural talent."
No, it was it was one of those moments like that you have in your life. You're like, wow, like actually my teacher was telling me, and actually it wasn't bullshit. I loved it. And then I just got introduced to different art forms. I was more of a color pencil, acrylic paint. And I used to do more traditional art. So then in college, I was introduced to more abstract stuff. And I really started loving that graphic design. And then that's where I kind of concentrated in graphic design. Photography comes into play is I had to take a photography class. It was part of the curriculum.
Yeah, part of that's all. That's how most people
Yeah,
find
and
photography.
I don't have that like, oh, I always had a camera when I was younger, and I kind of I don't have that story. I loved when I took the class. It was actually I wasn't even looking forward to the class. I was even looking forward to the class. I'm like, oh, it's photography class, and you got to get all this equipment, you got to buy all these supplies.
Was it by that time? Was it like digital? or
No, it was a darkroom photography. It was
still
photo.
film.
It was black and white film one. I ended up taking the class, and I didn't love the taking of the photos. I loved the development of the film. I love the process of taking the photo, seeing and then seeing it come up, and that's what excited me. Like it was an excitement. Like
Yeah, that's awesome.
it was almost like it was like a euphoria, like
It's like Christmas every time.
Yeah, it was like oh my god, this is so cool, and then able to
I made
working.
that. I made that.
And then or looking at your contact sheet and like wow, okay, and having the professor like kind of critique, go through them and like all right, print this, and that.
Delete this one.
Yeah, and it was crazy because that was the first I spent so much time in this one building and this one room developing film and that's where I think started my love for photography started. I fell in love with the process of it, not necessarily taking the photos, but the developing of it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the professor said, you know what, you should take two, and I'm like, you know what, yeah, I should definitely take the two because it was
more advanced.
fulfilled. And I took it and I loved it. And then the whole exhibiting your work. And that's when I actually started photographing people, and not necessarily like photographing people like I do now, but like more in an abstract way or even just kind of more candid storytelling. And then at the end of that second class, the professor came to me and she's like, I really think you should change your major to your concentration to photography. And that's where I'm like, hold on, no, that's not gonna happen. I love graphic design too much. I really did. At that point, I was also doing photo restoration, so I actually have like,
you like photoshopping,
restorating. Like I was grabbing like all these photos that my grandma had,
That's
my
cool.
parents had,
That's cool.
and actually printing them and like seeing
touching them up, man.
yeah, and then just seeing the fulfillment of how somebody reacts when you have something that was old.
Yeah,
that's like
awesome.
Yeah.
they thought that was gone forever and you're able to bring it back. So that's where kind of like that was like my start in college. And in terms of this is around 2006, and that's where kind of I think it all started. I was actually a pretty good, I guess, designer. I did win some prestigious awards for graphic design, New Jersey Ad Council stuff, and like that, the Art Directors Club. I kind of went that route. Long story short, I ended up actually doing graphic design and then getting a job teaching graphic design, and I ended up teaching for 12 years. But in the middle of that, I actually then I graduated college 2007. I got a job like 2008 or 2008 teaching. And during that time, I actually got my first digital camera. I had a Canon
T3i
D40. It was like a higher end. It wasn't like the Rebel. It was like a little higher than the Rebel. And I just started, trying to do what I did because again, what I loved about photography, I didn't get the same excitement with the black and white. But I did get some excitement because then I'm like, oh, cool! Look at all these filters and look at all this like presets. But it wasn't.
Every image is a different preset.
Yes. Every image, like in one session, it was like all these different presets and like it all like looking
the
back.
Same
image
like, 7 times.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I like this one. I like this one. I liked it, and so what I did is I continued teaching. I was teaching fine art, and then I was teaching graphic design, and then I think into a couple years later, I did start teaching darkroom photography, and I was doing what I was doing in terms of like abstract photography, but I was really doing nothing with it. I was just like, I just had saved on my computer, had these drives, and then I started getting just requests, and I remember I did like a session of my sister and her now husband. I did some baby stuff, like, communion photos, and all this was for free, And then at one point I'm like, you know what? I'm going to, everybody's creating Facebook pages. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to create a Facebook page. And
it's official after that.
Yeah, it's official. So I created this Facebook page. I used my logo, still logo that I use now that I created in college. That's my personal branding. I used that Leandro Silva Photography. I used my name. And then I put it up. People started liking, people started following. And then people were like, hey, can you, photograph my baby or my kids? I'm like, sure. They're like, how much is it? And I'm like, give me $50. Like, well, yeah. So, and that's how it started for me. And then my first wedding really was my wife, someone she worked with was getting married just like a month out. I was getting my haircut with my wife. My wife is a hairstylist. And she was cutting my hair, and the girl was sitting right next to me, and she's like, "Hey, I like what you do with all those baby stuff and stuff. I'm getting married. I don't have a photographer. You want to shoot my wedding?" And
I love how they segue from like the baby stuff is great. Come to my wedding.
And I'm like, okay, like I don't even know what to photograph. Like it's a wedding. Like what is like wedding's like boring or and I really didn't know where to start. So I ended up no contract, discussing no pay, nothing. Showed up to the wedding. There was no getting ready. It was just basically
with your 40D.
Yeah, one camera. I think I don't even know. I think it was like a 24. Yeah, one card. 20. It was like a 20. It was like a 24 to like. I don't even know what the lens was on that.
When you zoom in, it's like at 5.6.
Yeah. So it was an outdoor wedding, which I think helped me. It was like outdoor wedding.
You got lucky.
And I got a story about that first wedding. So I photographed the wedding. End of the day, it was like a day wedding, day wedding. I go and at the end of the night or at the end of the day, I'm like, hey, all right, bye. I'll get you these, give me a week or whatever.
Have they paid you yet?
They paid me. She gave me a check at the end of the thing. She's like, here, thank you so much. This is there's a check. Is this fine? I look at the check and I'm like, $500. I'm like, great. Like I was getting 50. I was getting $50 for those baby sessions. Now I'm getting $150, $500.
You can get 8 Moses Cruise for that.
Of course.
More than no. Yeah, you're right. Because we always ask every guest like if they're a photographer what they charge for their first wedding.
Yeah.
So you got 500, and the lowest I think was Moses $60.
Wow.
Yeah, we got 400 for our first one.
We got 150. So it's like that.
But it did feel like a lot. You're like,
Yeah.
How long was that day?
I can't I would say it was probably like 6 hours, not even probably.
Wow.
Because basically what I
good.
photographed was I photographed the ceremony, right? It was like at a county park, like underneath, like it wasn't like the picnic area,
like a small,
a
small pavilion.
Yeah, I would say there was probably like 60 people there, and I photographed it. I remember I did some portraits after the ceremony, and then it was just the party, and then everybody left. I think there was a cake and stuff, and like thinking back now, I'm like, wow, I remember, and I'm like, you know what, I actually I enjoyed doing that, but then I'm like, you know what, let me look, what does wedding photography look like? Like, so I Googled it, and I'm like, you know what, like some of the stuff. It was good. Some stuff wasn't like it was the traditional stuff. And then I came across Fearless Photographers.
Yeah.
Of course.
I came across Fearless. I'm like, wow, this is fucking awesome. Like this is. Oh, can I curse?
Yeah.
Yes.
We do it all the time.
You can do whatever you want.
All right.
Do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. So I'm like, these images are awesome. Like this is great stuff. Like damn. Like this is super talented. Like I'm like, damn. How do they get this stuff? So I kind of continued going about my business and doing these baby stuff. And then I'm like, you know what? Now I was taking my weekends, right? Because I was doing this during the weekend. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to charge a little more. Let me see if I could get $75. And then I was like, let me see if I get $100. So I think it got to a point where I was charging like $150, which I thought was what? For a session. For a session.
Oh.
And then I went for 50.
Yeah, 50 to 150.
So 150
for like kids.
Yeah, in a short amount of time. And it got to a point where then at the 150, I started getting like more like, okay, yeah, we'll let you know. I started getting people like moving out some people. But I continued, I continued doing whatever, literally anything that came towards me, I took. It could have been it could have been any type of session, communion sessions, just because sessions, family sessions. I took everything. But my whole thing was like, at this point, I wasn't thinking about like, oh, I want to be a wedding photographer. So I just went back and I looked at the photos that I took that wedding, and I'm like, wow, these look actually, like, I'm trying to critique myself. I'm like, actually, these look pretty good. Like these look kind of better than those on the Google. Like, so then I looked at I try to do things a little different. That's where I still try to do things a little different now. So I did this one photo where kind of like I was on my back. And I wanted to get a different perspective because I'm, like my fine art background's all about perspective and lighting and stuff. So, and I'm like, I want to get a cool picture of like the bride, because I remember there was one shot where she was kind of like showing all the bridesmaids her ring or stuff. And I'm like, cool. I mean, just, and I did this really quick. I took a picture from underneath. And then after looking at Fearless, I'm like, I got to submit this photo. And I fucking won a Fearless Award, my first time ever.
That's awesome.
Entering. So I shot my first wedding and I entered a Fearless and I won an award the first time for one wedding. So I'm like, I actually love this Fearless stuff. Like I want to do more. So but I knew myself. I need, I just can't go out shooting weddings. I don't know nothing about weddings. I need to learn. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try to call all the local photography studios that I know, and I called at these places. Some that like just. Didn't even give me a time to talk. Some were like, oh, yeah, what's your name? What's your number? Okay, I'll give you a call when I need help. Nobody gave me a chance.
Those old studios, they were all like that.
Yeah, they didn't give me a chance. So I'm like, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to try to do it on my own. I'm going to start posting all these wedding photos. I'll post all of them, and somebody start tagging people, and something will come up from it. And that's what happened. So then I had, my second wedding. I charged, I think it was like $750. Then my third wedding, I charged, I think it was like 800 or something. So I was always like, man, that's something throughout my career. I've never been in a price point too long to create a clientele that make kind of like, that I feel like I'm stuck in.
Yeah.
So So I constantly raised my prices, and then I got to the point where like I was charging like $1,500, and this is maybe like a couple more. I would say I'm in 10 weddings in or something, and I go and I submit, again to Fearless, and I won another. I won my second Fearless award. So at this point, I'm like, okay, I want to get better. I need to get better. I want because I knew, okay, I'm going to these weddings.
We need to see these photos now.
Right?
Yeah, I gotta see if I think I still have them because I remember that first wedding, and like I know I put them on like a CD.
It's probably still on your
Fearless,
profile.
Fearless.
Yeah, they're still on my profile, and I think I did back them up until like I had Zenfolio at that time, and then I transferred everything to Shoeproof, and I still have it. What I did is I got really, and I think this kind of will lead into what we're going to talk about is I really became obsessed with improving myself, and not necessarily trying to get better than anybody else, because I never had that mentality like, oh, I got to be better than this person, or I got to be better than that person. I always want to be better with myself. Like I want to do better. If I could be better, and I still say, if I could do better than the last wedding I photographed, then I'm on the right course. So I just looked at photographers that inspired me, and at that point it was Fearless, and they were having actually I remember they were having the Fearless conference. I haven't really followed Fearless in the last couple years.
The conference or the workshop?
The conference, which was like a 2-day event. It was a 2-day event,
but not foundations, right?
Not foundations. Not foundations.
Foundation
I actually signed up for foundations, but then I had to back out because of something like actually because my work. Where I worked didn't allow me to take the 5 days that I wanted. I could only get 3 days, so I had to back out of that. But I took it, and I think that kind of set the bar for me in terms of like seeing all those people speak and their work and how emotional the work was. Because it wasn't just wedding photography. They were telling like take away the type of event.
They were PJ.
It was a lot of. That's what it is. It was like it was the meaning and the feeling behind the photos that they were taking. Of course, you had these amazing, breathtaking masterpieces of like this. Wow, how the hell did they shoot that? But then you see these raw moments and that's where kind of I love. But then I love how they used flash, and that's where kind of it started with me. And I think it was definitely Googling wedding photography and having doing such a good job with SEO with Fearless that it just popped up, and that was the first thing I saw. I flew out to Arizona in Arizona, and I loved it. And actually, one of our friends was part of it, and actually ended up photographing my wedding because I loved his work. He actually told me, because I was following his work, because then in terms of this time also with BT Better Together, I was going to all the meetings which at that time were actually, I think, were great because we would meet every month, good number of people.
There were a lot of meetings.
Yeah, and we actually went through like an agenda of like, all right, this is what we're going to talk about. We'll go, and then we mingled. So that's where that's where I met Moses. That's where I met everybody that I know today. It's that networking, and that's where I still love the networking. I still love the education, because what I do, like, going back to like obsessing over, getting better. And I'm using the word obsession as a good thing, because, obsession could be bad and good thing, because I'm hard on myself for certain things, but I don't let it go to a point where like, oh, I suck. Like, I'm going to quit. It's the point where I feel like, okay, this is what I want to work on now. Or this happened with like WPPI when Ro introduced me to WPPI and just the print comp and just getting all that valuable information, and not even my work, but other people's work, and being able to try to apply that. So then the next time I photograph, or even then when they critique your own work, I'm like, okay, yeah, they're right about that. Or it makes you think. Yeah, and it's one of those things where sometimes you need that hard truth, and I'm always for that, because again, with my fine art background, I'm used to the critique. Sometimes
not everyone can handle that.
Yeah, and I've noticed that, because I actually stopped posting or commenting on a lot on online stuff, because I used to be, I don't know if you guys know this, but I used to be more active. I used to critique a lot of stuff like, hey, you should try this, try that, and it got to a point where like, this is probably like right before pre-COVID. People are like, oh, but I didn't ask for critique.
Leo, that jerk. Who asked you, Leo?
One thing that I've always heard Leo say, as long as I know him, if you post it online, it's up for critique. He's like, it's up for critique.
Validation. We're not gonna give you.
Yeah, and because that's the thing. Like, I understand. Like, I look at things in context. If you're posting something in a bridal group, all right, I'm not gonna critique you in a bridal group. If you're posting in front of a bunch of other photographers, videographers, and you're looking for me to stroke your ego, that's probably not the place to go. You know, I know some people love that. Some people love, you know, and who doesn't like to be told that they're good? But it comes to a point, you got a hard truth is most valuable tool that's out there, because it's like you hear so many stories, people being told since they were small, you're the best, you're the best, you're the best. And then they turn out, see how they turn out.
Leo's not out there handing out trophies to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not
It's
a
only
believer.
trophies in first, second, and third place.
Yeah, that's it. Like first, second, and third. But participation is great, but it just doesn't. It does. It's, you know, and this is my belief. It's
true.
We agree with you. We just laugh because it's just funny.
I agree with it, because you're taking away that like drive to be better. Like if you losing has a very significant effect on most people. Like I hate to lose. So like if you're rewarding, like, you know, losses, is it kind of waters down the winning.
I wish I got more critique. Like the only critique that I get is from my wife. That's why I love her. You know, she takes me down a couple notches, but it's good for me. Like that's why I married her, because she wasn't just high fiving me everywhere. Like you guys know that she doesn't high five me.
She keeps you humble.
You know,
But
it's like, you fucked up over here. You fucked up over here.
This tastes like shit.
but that makes you better.
But I appreciate it, and that's why I married her. I don't want her to just to feed my ego or anything like that. You know, like I remember you guys were there. Like I submitted 5 images for awards that one year. I got nothing, right? And you know what? That one guy was like, it's okay, 79, right? I'm like, what the fuck?
That's the worst. That's the worst fucking score.
That was Ben with the overlay. Was that the overlay one?
I don't do any.
Didn't you do it like overlay one? That you even said? Like,
no. I had a phase during COVID.
Okay.
I didn't submit any of those.
Okay.
That little thing, what is it?
Yeah,
it was
The
little
filter
like
things with
Boca
hands,
circle.
Yeah. No. This was like, these were like legit, like nice images, right? And I submitted them, and they were like, yeah, it's nice, it's not bad, it's not good, 79. I was like, what the fuck? You like at least tell me why I didn't get an 80 or something like that.
Yeah,
I can take it, you know. But
it's professional, sellable work.
Yeah, well, you know
is.
what? Like they're supposed to tell you
how you can make it better.
Yeah, they're supposed to. But what happens is like they get like they're getting rushed out of the room, so they just like start moving on. Because we were present one year. We helped hang the prints, and they allowed us to have breakfast with all the judges, and Jerry like does like he'll talk to everybody, and he was like pissed off. He was like, you know, people are spending money. This is their work. He was like, and you're just like, yeah, it's 70.
Next,
He's like, no.
next,
He was like, yeah, I understand we have to rush, but you need to tell them what's wrong with the image or why it's good. He was like really pissed off about that. You know?
I didn't have any I had nothing to go on how to make my work better.
Yeah.
You know,
well, that's the worst, because the 79 is just like it's right there.
It's like it's 1 point. Like what was I short on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You should like stand up.
Excuse me, no.
I need to
Drag
go
her
back.
Bring the print back.
I object.
You could go to the judges afterwards and ask. The chances you run into them is like, you know, they don't want to be bothered too. They're busy and
like talk to the hand.
Yeah.
Screw them. I'm happy.
But that's the whole point of it. Yeah, you're right. That's the whole point of you submitting your work and getting critiqued.
I didn't get any feedback. So anyway, I have my wife to do that for me. So
but it's always good, because like now you know you see like sometimes people will post and I'm like they're asking for critique, or other times they're like, oh, did this wedding at this venue or whatever, but don't want critique. Like, but what's the purpose?
Oh my God, it's amazing.
So you just you know, it's almost like them saying, hey, please tell me, you know, please give me high praise for these photos that's basically what they're saying.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please praise me so much that I can feel so good about the photos.
we have some people that
insecure.
show up in these Facebook groups, and they're just posting their galleries left and right.
Yeah.
For what?
Like, I totally understand if it was a bridal group, like, okay, all right, they're trying to make business, trying to get the work in front of other people. And I understand if they're photographers that want to work for other photographers and they want to showcase their work. If someone, because, you know, my brain is wired differently, like everybody's brain is wired differently. My whole thing is if you're showcasing, again, and this comes from, I guess, my background in art is subjective, right? You could think something, and I think in photography, to a point, photography is an art form, and it is subjective. Like, you can like a photo, your client loves the photo, somebody might hate it, you know, it's subjective, right? You know, some people like off-camera flash in their photos, some people like light and airy. So it's not saying one is better than the other. It's an opinion. But if someone posts something and you see that, say the flash is overly it's overpowered. It's overexposed because of the flash. You should be able to tell that person, hey, next time try to use less power on your flash, or try to create more of a balance with the ambient light. And somebody should take that, and even if they don't want to reply to that, be like, okay, next
Take it
time,
in.
next time I'm gonna try to do that. And that's what I do. Like when people say things and go, okay, you should try doing this. And actually, everybody knows I like to do the composite bridal party shots. So I had submitted.
What are you talking about? What composite shot?
Leo, the composite.
Luminosity.
So, something that I took from the first time that I used on at WPPI is they're like, everybody's looking at a different direction. Like, what are they looking at? And I forget who it was that said that. And I'm like, you know what? You're damn right. I'm going to start now. And if you notice, like the last couple of years, most of my private parties, they're actually looking at the couple, or they're looking at the camera. I stopped doing the kind of looking out.
Looking away.
Because I at first I'm like, oh, it's cool. And then I'm like, where the hell are they looking? Like what they're looking.
Right?
Yeah. So I'm like, you know what I want. And in terms of, you're thinking of art, you want to keep the viewer's eye inside. So, I'm like, okay, how can I keep them to the subject, which, most cases either bride and groom, groom and groom, or bride and bride, whatever it is, the couple, the eye should go to there. So
Yeah,
that's
there should be
something
very clear what we're looking at.
and if it wasn't for me being open to critique or being, open to having my work critiqued in front of other people, I would have never made that change,
And on top of that, you're paying to submit the work.
Yeah,
It's not like
and
it's a
you-
free critique.
Yeah, and you're not submitting, yes, you're submitting what you think is the better work that you have, but that like you're also submitting where like I want that critique, especially now with the Jerry's iconic Jerry's and Melissa's iconic awards. I think it's awesome because they give you the audio. I think he posted yesterday that it's going to be live soon. They're still not ready for it, but that's what I'm looking for. Yeah, it's great. Like you think, okay, if I can submit 10, if I can win 2, silver awards or something, at least have something to go by. But really, what you're looking for is the feedback. I feel like I learn more from the losers than I do from the winners.
Yeah, 100%.
The winners, like I already knew that was a good photo. The losers, I also thought it was a good photo, but then it kind of makes correction. Like, okay, yeah, they're right. Like, yeah, they got this has to be fixed. That got to be fixed, and that's where it comes back to like me wanting to do better. I don't have, and I say this, and to people like, oh, people are your competition. I have no competition, right? The only person that really stops me from doing what I want is myself, right? Because we can all be the same price point. We all live, we're all in the same market. It comes down to what I can deliver that's different.
Right.
I deliver something that's different. You guys deliver something different. It goes from the product to the experience, right? Because your experience is different than my experience, than Ben's experience. And it comes down to getting your ideal client.
Yeah, for sure.
Because
I think we're all right around the same price point, a very similar price
I think,
point. Yeah, there's 1, 2, 3, 4. There's like 4 brands in here, and I think we're all right around the same price point. However, I think we serve different audiences,
Very completely different.
very different audiences. Ours are a little close, but like it's still different.
Yeah.
But I feel like Leo's is very unique. And one thing I like about you is like you're unapologetic about it. Because some people will be like,
That's who he is.
why is Leo shoot like that? Or like, why is everything a composite? Or they don't understand the concept of learning more about your fine art background. It makes sense. And like why you want to shoot that way and how you shoot. And some people don't realize that. And I like that you don't give a shit what people think. You're just like, I'm going to be who I be and not fall into the trap of whatever trends or things are happening.
How you explain your background, it makes sense now. That whole landscape fine art, your tones and colors.
Like I look at just look at Renaissance. You look at Caravaggio, Raphael.
Right.
You look at the way the light is used. Like
a lot of shadows.
Like a lot of shadows. Like you get that
paintings,
contrast. And you get those high. Like I love that look. You
Yep.
know, and I've always liked that look. So like even like my wife, when we travel and we go to like, I want to go to the museum. I want to go to like these, and she's like, come on, and more. But I love like being in front, like I just love looking at the artwork and trying to say it's subconsciously what influences me to do what I do.
He wants to create this experience for his clients. You know, he wants them to feel like they're looking at a museum piece on their walls.
Exactly. And as corny as that,
all makes sense.
you know what?
Now we know where you get your captions from.
He was like, you might want to put some 3D glasses for this one here.
and that's exactly like I love. That's my why. Like I love that. And for me, and I tell all my couples, this is not work. It becomes work when I have to photograph something in a certain way that someone wants. I think I shared with you guys.
100%.
I didn't fire a client. I kind of convinced her not to
Book with you?
Yeah.
book. Well, she booked with me, and I convinced her to book someone else because she sent me a bunch of photos that were light and airy.
Not aligned with what your brand
Yeah,
is.
they didn't and like at first she loved my work. She booked me through COVID. Everything was great, and then she started sending me a lot of stuff that was like brighter, but it was all overcast too. So I trying to explain to her, I'm like, look, your wedding's gonna be at this time of the day. There's not gonna be any light, and then your reception, if it's sunny, it's gonna be very harsh light. 1 o'clock in the afternoon, it's not gonna look like this unless we have a cloudy day and we'll have similar light. And I told her, like, look, I could do some photos like this for you, but what I would, I don't know if you've considered this, but have you looked at other, like this photographer that you sent me these photos, are they available? Like, and I told her, look, I'm willing to give you your money back because my whole thing is I don't want to, and I told her, and I was honest with her. I'm like, look, the last thing I want to happen is you to not to like your wedding photos, and then you're gonna come back. You're gonna say,
1000%,
Leo, I didn't love his photos. It wasn't great. You could, leave me a bad review because all my couples love my photos. You like my photos, and because you booked me so far long, maybe, or you weren't
at
sure
time to look at other people's work.
yeah, and I'd rather cut that right away.
Right.
And I ended up, I just told her, look, I can't give you your retainer because I actually turned away a couple weddings, but I'll give you, your second payment and whatever. She had paid in full, actually. I'll give you all your money back. And that's what did. She's like, oh my God, you would do that? I'm like, yeah, why would I want to hold you hostage?
Yeah.
And then you not like, I know you love my photos that I created, but I don't want that to happen.
Right.
I think nowadays a lot of photographers. I don't say a lot of photographers, but I know at least some photographers that will couples to death.
Oh,
Like, yeah, I could do that,
Yeah.
just for the booking,
Yep.
and that's where all the issues arise at.
Right.
Yeah.
They're coming from a mindset of scarcity. Actually, I talked with Mike about this yesterday because he was talking about the self-actualization pyramid, right? You have certain needs that need to be taken care of, and then eventually hopefully you'll get to a point where you're kind of in the zone and you can say no to work, and you're doing what you love, and people love everything that you're all about. And I think what we talked about yesterday was that people are so preoccupied with their basic needs that they're just taking all the work. They're more concerned with putting food on the table, putting a roof over their heads. So like I don't know if we would still be saying the same thing if we weren't in the positions where we are right now. Because
Sure.
I think currently, right now, where we are in our careers, we can say no to work, right? But let's say you're just starting out, or maybe you've been at this for a little while and you're not making a lot of money. You
No,
are
Ben Lau, you cannot say no.
you have to say yes to everything,
Yeah.
right? Because you got to put food on the table first and foremost, right? The hope is that eventually you will get to a point where the higher level stuff takes precedence over the lower level stuff. You know what I mean?
Even now, though, I feel like there's some that every year slip through the cracks, right? Like they.
Oh, it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it happens.
They check off all the boxes, but
Yep.
I feel like it's usually the personality. Like they like your work, but just the personalities we don't mesh with. It happens,
Yeah.
But if as long as it's not happening too often,
Right.
Yeah.
it's okay.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
And I think that happens now because I think we're also doing a lot more Zooms, and we're still doing Zooms, and I think that sometimes it's hard to connect. Like in person, you see body language, you see a little bit more than like just looking at the
Yeah.
screen. Because I think that's just the nature
Yeah.
of the game
Right.
now.
There's also a little bit more effort they put in to meet you in person.
Yeah.
Because like with Zoom, it's so convenient that they're meeting with so many people. Sometimes they're probably like,
They probably don't even know who's who, right? Yeah.
yeah, or
They don't.
oh, that happens to
Yeah.
us all the time.
Yeah.
Are you? Oh, you're the guys. You guys are the ones that make the moving pictures. And I'm just like,
Why are we
obviously you
talking?
did no research.
Just to
Yeah,
fuck with them, I
yeah,
want to
let
do
me-
some moving pictures too. Put some gifts on my feed.
Yeah, you're like, all right. So you just interviewing everybody because it's so convenient. And
Yep.
what could happen is someone could give somebody a hell of a deal, and they just decide to book with that
Yeah.
person.
At some point, I think the long game is that eventually you will attract your dream clients, your target audience, who are going to appreciate everything that you bring to the table. There's no questions asked. They're not going to send you a billion Pinterest boards, and they're going to book you for you. But when you're first starting out, especially when you first started out as well, you're just taking everything and everyone.
Yeah, like
Yes.
and I understand those people that I'm not here saying that I made the right decision or they made the wrong decision, but it's like you have to it comes down to common sense, right? If you're just starting out as a wedding photographer, you want to be a wedding photographer, right? And you have 9 to 5. You should hold on, and this is my opinion. You should hold on to 9 to 5 as long as you can,
That's what I did.
because that's what I did it. I did it to the point where it was actually hurting my photography business by staying in
Yep.
there.
Yeah.
And the only reason why I stood there was stood in that position was for comfort and because actually I liked what I did. It wasn't like, I didn't feel like, oh God, I have to go do this again. But I got to a point where my family was growing. I needed more time. I just felt like, I had my other business that was growing. And I'm like, this is just holding me back. As much as I love what I'm doing, it's holding me back. And I'm gonna make the leap now because I was making way more in my photography than I was in my day job. So I'm like, that's enough said. Like, and some people call me crazy for leaving a stable paycheck, amazing health benefits. And I told him, but that's small thinking. I'm looking at the bigger picture.
Right.
There's a smaller ceiling too.
Yeah. So, yes, I have to go after it, but that's just, I'm willing to go after it.
I have a question. So what I like about you when we go to WPPI and all these things is you don't focus on one stream of education on just like going to technical classes. You do business classes as well. And
Photo walks.
like all these
like
different
all over the
things.
place.
You told us a little bit about like your technical education for photography. Tell us about your business education and how you tie that in. Because you don't just own one business. You own two completely different businesses. And how you kind of use your business education to run both.
Yeah. At the end of the day, that's a good question. At the end of the day, I think, business is business. Business for photography, business for hair salon, business for, whatever restaurant. But at the end of the day, fundamentally, they're all the same, right? You're either selling a product, you're selling a service, you're selling an experience. And, it kind of, as a photographer, we sell all three, right? We sell the product, we sell a service, we sell an experience. And in the salon, it's similar. And in terms of the type of business, I think the salon and the photography, I try to have them at the same type of level in terms of, quality and experience. I would say even my photography needs more work with the experience stuff, but it's stuff that I've changed too. Even the way I go to weddings, I used to be just coat with slacks and a dress shirt but now, I use a sports coat because I've noticed when I made that change that I'm actually, not that I'm treated better, but I'm treated more, not as a vendor, but as person, a guest, and
1000%.
and that's something that a lot of people give a venue that I guess we won't.
You can
name.
speak freely here.
Yes, you can.
Or like for example, a lot of people like the Westmount. A lot of people give him a hard time, but because they require a jacket. My understanding, my perspective is okay. It's their house. They should tell whatever way they want. Their
House
rules. And that's something that I do all the time. Like I go to a venue. I find where the maitre d' is, the manager, and I'm like, okay, what do you need from me? What can I do? What can I do? What is it that you have planned? I'm going to try to make their job as easy as I can. So I started seeing that, like, just changing the way I did that. So, not to kind of like jump, but, just changing the way I dress makes a difference. So when I do go to like conferences like that, where there's everything is there, right? It's like sometimes like overly stimulated information. I tell like my wife doesn't go to these things. She went to imaging, but like I tell her like I'm literally there for that reason. I try to go as many events that I can.
Yeah, you always wake up early.
Yeah, I wake up
Leo's
early.
the first one in classes. They're like, why are you here, Leo?
And he's always the last one leaving too.
Yeah.
Because I try to match because to hang out, I can hang out anywhere, right? I can hang out in New Jersey, but if I'm flying somewhere, I'm paying for something. I'm gonna go out there, and there's no reason why you can't go learn and hang out. Because I still hang out, we still do this stuff. But I go and I try to get, I look at things. Not necessarily just from wedding photographers. Like I look at the portrait guy, portrait photographers. I look at the maternity photographers. I look at I try, and that's something that I want to start doing more. And I don't try to copy somebody. Someone that I look up to highly, Jerry Gionis, and I've taken his workshop twice, but I took him his 5-day workshop for two different reasons. First time I took it was more for a technical point of view, how he lights, he poses, interaction with couples, and then the second time I took it, the same exact workshop, but for the benefits of the business side of things. Because I think, everybody's at a different point in their career or a different point in their business that they need help with certain things, right? Because I look at it, you can't just try to do everything at once, because then you can't do anything well, right? So I try to focus on one thing that I think I've been lacking and I try to improve upon. And I try to implement things that maybe I learned from a portrait photography in my wedding photography business. There's things that I've tried to implement and didn't really work out. Like my goal this year was actually to bring a backdrop to every single wedding and do like one beautiful portrait of the bride and the groom in like a traditional backdrop. Like, and that was my goal, like to do this, but it just didn't work out.
Did you try it or
No, I did. I brought the backdrop. I
Yeah.
brought everything, but it just didn't work out because I got the idea. I did a wedding 2 years ago during COVID, and it was like get bridal prep. Not
That's
a
a
great
great idea, though.
location. And then I'm like, you know what? It had a really nice like curtain background, and I actually did like I had my big softbox. I had like a 6 foot umbrella. So I'm like, and I did. I'm like, wow, this is so cool. I could do if
studio.
I could do one of these every wedding and then present it like a fine art piece. That's something that. So that's something I'm still gonna try to. I have it on the list, try to implement. But I think
What are
that's
you bringing? Are you bringing like a back or like the foldable one?
yeah. So it was what I have my umbrella, which is big, huge light source, soft light source, and then I have my I have a the Westcott. What do they call it? It pops up.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
it's not
I
a
know
big.
you're
It's
talking
like, I think
about. Yeah.
it's that and just a simple backdrop kind of inspired me with that was looking at old photos of like wedding photography. That's basically
It was
a
all
wedding.
studio.
It was all
Yeah.
studios. Like they didn't photograph the whole wedding. It was like I
It
remember
was the
I'm looking at my
ceremony
grandmother.
and the cake cutting.
Yeah, my grandmother's wedding photo is a portrait of her and my grandfather in a clean background, and I think there's a chair. I think there's a picture of them standing together, and I think there's a picture of her sitting on the chair and my grandfather standing next to it. So I think just brings some of that like elegance to it, but just lighting it really, really nice and having something simple that they can value. I think all of us here are on the same page where like, some of the photos that these couples print and add in albums are not the epic shots sometimes. It's that really simple mom, dad looking at
Look
the
at the camera,
camera,
yeah.
and that's what's valuable to them. And as you grow older, you start thinking about what's most important, which photos are the most important. I'm not saying, those other stuff that I do is not great, but it comes down to what motivates you, right? What kind of ignites that fire, and that's with me is trying to show my couples the value of something, even maybe if they don't see the value of it, not at that point, but then like down in 10 years, like oh man, that portrait, I really appreciate that portrait that he did because without that portrait, I wouldn't have this photo. So I take a lot of my stuff that even when I go to like salon stuff, like workshops and seminars, I try to apply things that I learned from my photography into the salon stuff too. Because at the end of the day, it's all the same. It's just said in a different way, in different contexts, and it's just being able to see it. Because like people talking about social media, right? Social media for a salon and social media for photography is basically the same stuff, right? The same way you're going to get clients for the salon is to be the same way you're going to get clients for photography. Is you're trying to reach a certain audience, and you just got to know what that audience is. So I try to do that in terms of for like the business side of things. I try to or interactions with couples because you can interact with people. I try to utilize cross platform in terms of industries, but it's all the same. Like it really is. And then the technical stuff is I try not to keep to just wedding photography because you really see some cool stuff happening in like portrait photography and that's something that I like this year, going imaging, and I'm going to try to like focus a little bit more on portrait photographers and doing things different. I'm actually looking like I don't look at a lot of other photographers' work because I don't want to be influenced by
Mhm.
not in a good way. I don't want to be influenced by like a trend. Everybody now doing the motion blur stuff. I want to be influenced by stuff that like really is different. You see a lot of stuff like these like Russian photographers or these kind of Asian photographers that are doing things a little different because it eventually comes across. But like, I don't want to do trendy things. Like, yeah, if a couple says they want me to do some motion blur stuff, like I'm like, oh, I've been doing that ever since I picked up a camera. A lot of blurry stuff. But
These are all my called out images. So just take your pick, whichever one you want.
Which one do you want? So they're all blurry. But no, I understand. I understand trends, and I understand we have to also because we do provide a service, and if a couple wants something that we don't do, we have to do like we talk about cocktail hour, right? If I don't show, I don't photograph cocktail hour, but if a client comes to me, hey, Leo, I need cocktail hour covered.
Yeah.
Okay,
You're
so
gonna do
then,
it, yeah.
I'm going to have to either, hey, I have to do this during the reception. Then maybe I'll bring an additional photographer. We'll hire a different, and we'll get the cocktail hour. I'm also not one of those like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not me. I'm not going to change my style for the whole day. But if you want me to do, hey, I really wanted these photos brighter or stuff, like I'll do it because again, I understand I'm running a business, but I'm not going to change something completely, do all light and airy wedding because they're just paying me a lot of money.
Mhm.
Right.
You know, I'd rather not take the wedding. You know, it's even with a lot of these people that like NDAs and stuff. I don't want to work for anybody, like because I really like showcasing what I do. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not saying that I haven't done it or haven't entertained something like that, but it's not something that I like doing. And
It's more valuable to show it than
yeah,
to
Eh,
oblige and
yeah, because I don't know if that's gonna be the best photo that I've ever taken in my
yeah.
life,
I
and
know.
then
Mhm.
I can't share it because
Yeah.
I've agreed to an NDA, and I understand being private because I tell my couples I don't show anything, anything too personal. I'm not gonna show, of course. Why would I want to do that? But if it's something a great emotional moment that I think that would be great to submit to like WPPI or something that could get some feedback and share with other people that would love to. You want to share it, right? If you get a picture of you and your mom and you and your
Take the
dad,
shot of your career,
yeah,
and then you can't show it.
and then you can't show it. And I understand. Again, I have no problem when people, they have to provide, like you said, provide shelter. They have to put food on the table, roof over the head. I understand that. I don't look down on people like that. But for me personally, there's certain things
Well,
that
you're at a point in your career where you can
yeah,
say
and
that.
Say
and,
no,
and,
yeah.
and, yeah, and that's why I'm saying it. Like, but what would I tell a younger self of mine? I would say just continue, just do what people want, but do a little bit of what you want and start building that so that at one point it's going to come to the point where you're going to be 60% what you want and then 50% of what needs to be, or
The
Math.
Your
math,
math is
Leo.
wrong. It's not
and I'm not
mathing, Leo.
drinking, and I'm not drinking. 60% of what you
He
want
said he
and
wasn't good
40.
at school.
Yeah. I wasn't good at school.
Art major, guys.
Yeah, art major.
I was like, the math ain't mathing.
Yeah.
Bank card real quick.
Yeah, no.
Well, at least we know you give it 110%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there we
let's
go. See, Ro knows how I'm thinking. No, but yeah, and again, it's not about some people are like, oh, I shoot for myself. I don't shoot for myself. I shoot for the couple, but the couple picked me because of what I can do. A lot of
Mhm.
times I even ask, is there anything specific that you want, or like no, we trust you. Just do what you, and that's what you want to hear.
Right.
We trust that what you do. We're not going to tell you how to do your job. And that's where you want to be. Of course, was this the way it was years ago? I understand things take time. I think a lot of times, especially I think with the new generation, because like I said, I deal with both businesses. I see a lot in my other business that the newer generation wants instant gratification.
Yeah.
They want to be at where you're at with
Yep.
your 13,
That's the first
14.
thing they need to learn.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen right away.
Yeah, and
it does to some people, but it's so rare.
Yeah. Like you could be you post a photo of wedding and it TikTok it just goes viral.
Yeah.
Then you're good. That's amazing.
But even if you ask some of those people, right, that go viral, what did it?
Yeah, what
did you
that
get?
do for you?
Nothing.
Yeah. But what Leo said earlier about his skills transferring between his salon and photography business is business and stuff, right? We all attended Wedding MBA a month or two ago, and I would say that some of the most valuable information that I learned were not from photographers. Listen, I got some good info from photographers, but some of the best info that I got were from DJs and also from a venue owner.
Yeah. Planners too. There were some good
Yeah,
planners.
and I was like, it doesn't. Business is business, sales is sales, marketing is marketing, and I think they are preventing themselves from all this potential good information because they're so close-minded that, hey, listen, if I am a wedding videographer, I can only learn from other wedding videographers.
Yeah.
If this person is selling widgets and stuff, I can't learn anything from this person selling widgets, right? That's not true. You got to be open-minded, just like what Leo's doing. He's like, I can learn from everyone and everything. Find opportunities to pick something out that you can learn from someone. Don't be so close-minded about it.
Yep. Because I want to know how like I don't want to do baby photography. That's just not my thing, like the posing. But I love to know how to do it. How do they come to that? It's not like I'm gonna. Oh yeah, Leandro Photography is now gonna offer.
You're just in luck. We have a newborn photographer here.
You need a basket? A basket, a hammock, and some PVC pipe.
That doesn't do it for me, right? That I appreciate. I love the photos that they create. I that's definitely a skill. There's definitely a skill to that. But I would love to sit in on a session how they do that. Like how is that? It's not like I'm gonna go and start doing my own because I just don't. Like I tell my couples, like they want baby photography, like I'll do more of a lifestyle. Like okay, go to the home. I'll take pictures of the baby. I'm not gonna touch her. I'm not gonna manipulate them. I'm not gonna put them in these.
By the
Like,
way,
you
there's
touch your
always
own
a
kid.
hand touching a baby. Just
Yes,
so you know.
yes, I know. I know that. I saw. Was it I think it was a
s-
TikTok or
It's a
something. I
cartoon.
saw that how I saw the editing.
I
of
know
it.
someone that will come in and pose the baby for you for a fee.
Yeah.
Seriously.
We do.
They'll come and pose a baby and you just photograph.
That's crazy.
But
That's a skill.
But the
Yeah.
thing is, you know, I think one of the shortfalls or one of the challenges that many just entrepreneurs in general is that they're not curious enough. They get to a certain point, they're content, they stop growing. They're like, hey, listen, I got this, I'm good, right? And they stop learning. And I think what I really admire about you, Leo, is that you're constantly learning or looking for opportunities to learn more. You know,
Yeah,
because
and I've been to workshops with you where the photographer has a completely different style of how you shoot, but you still go because he always he always has the mindset of like we can learn from anyone.
Yeah.
Correct.
And a lot of people are like, I'm not going to take this workshop because I don't use Flash. Why am I going to take this
And
Flash workshop?
they don't see the value. And but I look at it like there's one photographer that I took his workshop, and I wasn't happy with my lighting for my reception stuff, right? So I'm like, you know what? I've tried a lot of stuff. I don't like it. I just like how he lights it, like, and the way he set it up, and he showed us, like, I'm like, this is it. This is what I was doing something similar. I was using 4 lights. I'm using 3 lights, or I'm using 2 lights, and and it clicked. That was, and he did other stuff, but that's
that's
the one thing that you
your one
wanted.
takeaway.
Yeah.
that was my takeaway from it. And those are like little things that I tell people. Like some people, like I had one photographer recently ask me about the Jerry Jonas worship, and I told him, take it. I'm like, whatever, doesn't matter the price. If I tell people, if it was $10,000, it would be worth the $10,000. I think when I went with it, it was like 3,900 or some 3,700, whatever it was for 5 days, and you basically get Jerry and Melissa from early morning all the way to like 11 o'clock at night. It's the best workshop that I've ever been to. And I say it to everybody. It's not just what you learn. If you ever been to with Jerry for 5 minutes, just think about that times a million. Like you
So I'm
really
gonna buy like now instead of 1 ice light, I'm buying 100
you
ice
buy
lights.
100 like this. But it's really what you get out of it. Like just give you like people cry, at the end because of, and you see people actually grow, like people that were not comfortable, posing people, and because there's a lot of it's
They
hands
put you
on.
on the spot.
Yeah, and it's great. So that's like I always say, Jerry's workshop is probably the best I've been to in terms of how much I got out of it. That I even told you, I even told this person I would even take this probably a third time, just kind of
That's
because
awesome.
it's so much. And the thing is with Jerry, a lot of stuff is free out there. He has it on his, it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's in the conference that he's at, and then he has his he had the Ice Society, which now is called
Change the name of it.
yeah, he changed the name of it. It's all the like
It's a lot of stuff on there. Though.
Yeah, it's a lot of great stuff, and I was a member of it, but then I'm like, I haven't been able to utilize it. But every time Jerry talks or anyone, I go and I listen, because you could see Jerry talk about the same thing twice, but you'll always pick up something from him.
His keynotes are fucking amazing every time at WPI.
And
I enjoy listening to him.
Yeah, like that's why like if filmers like, you want to go listen to Jerry? I'm like, of course I want to go. I want to go say hi to him. And the thing is, he he's genuinely a really, really, really nice guy, and he's without him in the industry, I don't think we
That's
would
true.
be
Yeah, he's crucial in my opinion to the wedding industry.
So, and there's a lot more other people that I've taken workshop with that I admire, and one was Mauricio from
Christmas
Studios. Like I think he's probably in terms of creativity. Like some of the stuff that he creates is the way his mind
blowing.
It's mind blowing, and that's where I wanted to see like his process, his thinking of how he comes up with these ideas, and it's sometimes like it's one of those things you can't teach that. I just wanted to see how he does it.
See it,
yeah, and like you really can't. Like he can't teach it. Like you can't.
It's what he is in here. Yeah.
So
so true.
It's he shows you how to, he shows you the process, his thinking process, and then how he shows you the files, how he edits, and it's just mind blowing. Like wow, like it's crazy. There's so many talent out there. It comes down to what do you like about somebody's work, and see if they're doing a workshop. And that's what I do. It doesn't matter where it is. I'll fly.
Yeah.
I went to Chicago a couple years ago to see Johnson Wee because I loved his work. I think he's a nice guy and he produces beautiful work. And I'm like, you know what? He's going to be in Chicago. I'm available that I'm going to fly out to Chicago. So that's the way I look at it. I don't look at it as, okay, it's going to cost X, Y, Z. You got to factor that in. But I look at it, the value that's going to bring. It's
an investment in
investment.
yourself and your business.
And where I'm going back to, I spoke to a photographer who his business is not doing well, or he's trying to grow his business. He's not happy with his way of shooting. And I'm like, look, the perfect. And I said, perfect. Because he asked me about it. And I'm like, this is probably, he's like, what do you think I should do? Go to this or my website? I'm like, this. Go to Jerry's workshop. You're going to get so much. He's going to talk to you about your website. He's going to give you feedback
and then do the website.
And then do the website. The website is a website, right? You can
It's a storefront.
It's a storefront. Like, and I even told him, like, my website sucks. Like, and that's something I have to work on, and I'm embarrassed to say, but I've had 3 redesigned websites and I've never made them live. And I haven't made, and some of the work that's on there, it's outdated that I have, and I updated a couple stuff just to kind of have it maintained. But because I know that that's part of a reason why maybe I'm not reaching certain people that I want, but I think I'm content with the number of weddings I'm getting.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like one of those things. It's like
no urgency.
There's no urgency.
Right.
But
but
like,
if you're desperate, you gotta have everything.
Yes.
Everything
So
has
all
to
your
be.
shit in
yeah.
order.
So, but in this case, I think this person's a little bit. They're desperate. They don't have the work coming in. They don't have the leads coming in. So I think it's not about maybe your website. It's maybe about what you're doing, your business. When people, it's your business, not just your website, it's your business. It's what you're shooting, how you're shooting. These are the things that you've been asking me about. This is where you got to go. And I can't force someone today, but I'm like, if you got $10,000, where do you, or $5,000, where do I put those $5,000? Put it in education. Website, you don't need a $5,000 website right now.
Yeah.
You can go Wix, you could go to Squarespace for $200.
Yeah, something a little bit more expensive.
yeah.
Right. And then when you get to a certain point, then you're probably, off spending, because you guys know better than I. You guys have way, way better websites. And I know you guys went through.
They paid someone to get it done.
Yeah,
we
went through a couple
website.
of rebrands. I think we're in probably next year or two. We'll probably do.
Yeah, it's been
4
4 years.
Yeah. I do like our web designer. Probably hit him up to tweak it.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Johnson's Wheat workshop. You took. You flew out to Chicago. You said you came across Johnson Wheat's work by going to WPPI.
Yeah.
So it's you're basically like going to all these things, and then you're finding new places to follow your education. Yeah, which is awesome.
Because like exactly, and that's a point I want to talk about. It's like, so these conferences, and you're really not gonna. You'll learn stuff. Sometimes, was it 40 minutes to an hour and a half? You're not gonna learn everything, and you're not gonna be able to show you everything.
Sample.
So it's almost like a sample. All right, this is what we can do. So that's basically what I did. Is I was actually Johnson Wee. I think you were with me. I'm like, oh, that's Johnson Wee. That's the work I want to see him talk or go to his photo walk, and I saw him approachable, nice guy, and then I continued following him, and then he put out workshop the Fantastic 3, I think it was called. It was him, Nick, and Kenda, and they were doing a workshop in Chicago. It was like a 2-day or 2-3-day thing, and it was like shooting, editing, posing inside, outside. And it was great, and it's just kind of like, I look for what fills your bucket. Again, I don't go out and copy everything they do, and that's something like I don't want to do. I don't want to copy, like I don't want to copy exactly the same photo the photo that they create. I don't want to, that's why I'd say 99% of the workshops I go, I don't photograph. I don't bring a camera. If they don't tell me don't bring a camera, I don't bring a camera. If they say bring a camera, like
fighting with 10 other people.
Yeah, like I don't, because I'm not going to do nothing. I'm really, I've never done anything with any of these photos. Like I did, I did Cardona's workshop a couple years ago. Flew out to Houston. It was like his first tour that he did, his first beginning. Super nice guy. Learned so much. But again, what I learned from his workshop was like working in the shittiest shit, and that's basically what he kind of, he was teaching. He's like the shittiest situation that you have and creating something out of shit.
You could have saved yourself $100. He was here in Jersey.
Yeah.
no, he went like 2 years ago.
Yeah, I went pre-COVID.
Yeah.
I went pre-COVID. I went to his first.
I wanted to go. I remember you guys told me about it. I had a wedding.
I bet you it was amazing.
It was amazing. It was his first, like super, super cheap. Like we all stayed together in the house in the Airbnb.
Hassan went, right?
Yeah, Hassan went.
Hassan said that's the best workshop. And Hassan's taken a lot of workshops over the years. He said that's the best workshop that he went to.
Yeah. So he kind of, you see how he creates some of this stuff? Damn, that was shot in the kitchen. And that's what it is. and just to exercise that was shot in the kitchen behind this like 70s kitchen with like using some glass and using a broken chair and just using gels and light and manipulation of light. So it's like one of those things, like, are you going to use it every wedding? Probably not. And that's another thing is when you go to these workshops and then you can't just try to implement everything in your workflow.
No way.
It's about having everything in your pocket and be like,
And
okay.
you're also learning how to see something a little differently as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
something that I learned this year, or someone shared with me this year, the power of the workshops and conferences that you attend, it's not so much the classes themselves. You might learn a couple things here and there in
Yeah.
these classes, but usually it's a path to something much bigger. Whether it's because you heard this person speak on one of the sponsor stages for 15 minutes. Now you're going to follow them and find out that they have a full workshop somewhere else, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's you get invited out to a nice steak dinner, and then they help you make $30,000 the same year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's all about the relationships as well that you get to make with the people that you meet. The magic and the power of these workshops, it's not always necessarily in the classrooms that you're there for.
Yeah.
In these whatever it is that you're there for. Sometimes it's in the hallways. Sometimes it's at dinner.
100%.
Sometimes it's at the coffee shops. That's where a lot of the magic
Yeah.
happens from these
Yeah.
workshops and conferences.
And it's the networking.
Mhm.
Like the people that you attend these workshops and seminars and stuff with, it's like that relationship that you can then like, oh, I know somebody in Houston that I can, if you're in Houston and say you're shooting in Houston or you need to have a wedding or Chicago or some, you start learning, you start networking or you meet somebody at WPI and you're going back to, you have a session in California or something and you know who to reach out to for help, for assistance.
Mhm.
So it's a lot more,
Right.
and it's not like, and I think a lot of times we have to take off the blinders and look a little bit further out and see what really do we get out of it. It's, I don't need to learn. I already know that because you hear some photographer like, I don't want his work is, I already do what he does and stuff like that, and that's fine. That's I could respect that. You feel like you're at a certain point. But for me, it's like, what do you want? I want more. Like I was actually having a conversation with my wife last week and this week, and I'm like, I don't want to photograph things that I don't like. Like I don't want to just do something because they're going to pay me a lot of money.
Mhm.
That's great and all. Money is great, but at the end of the time, one thing is most important is like loving what I do, and
Mhm.
two is my time. If I find it's not worth my time, or if they're not paying this amount, I don't want to go take a picture of it. Because it's like my time right now, especially with kids, it's like very limited. And I have the other business and stuff, so I have to be very, very particular with what I do and what I want to do. So that's where I kind of fortunate to be in the position where I'm at now,
Yep.
where I'm able to pick and choose because I've made certain decisions. Some of them right decisions, others you learn from your mistakes, but it's about moving forward and just getting better at what you do. Because I find once you stop trying to improve yourself, that's like the beginning to end of,
Yeah.
of,
Yep.
you.
That's when everybody just goes around you and keeps going.
Mhm.
And then you're like, oh man, what happened to him?
Yeah.
He was so good. He was so,
Pull off. Yep.
And typically, I always say this: by the time you notice there's a problem, it's a little too late.
late.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
to make changes.
Yeah, because there's so many, dude. There's so many talented photographers out there, like wedding photographers, like first year, second year, third year. They're killing it.
So
They're doing.
many.
They're
They're
so
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 talented.
Hungry as
good.
hell.
And they're hungry.
They
Yeah.
pop up from
And they're cheap.
nowhere. Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and it's so if a couple's looking at your work and looking at their work, all right, similar work. Okay, now what's
Right.
next? It
Uh-huh.
comes down to price,
Yep.
right? Personality. All right, they're I like they were cool. We met with them, and their price is half than what. Then I'm definitely gonna
Yeah,
go with that
That's
person.
a no-brainer.
It's a no-brainer.
Yep.
So that's something that we have to look at, and and that's what I talk about being different with the work. With me, it's yeah, you're still gonna get your family portraits, but it's what else that I'm gonna provide. Like I know everybody wants my composite bridal party shot, so I know I'm gonna have to do it. It's not that I love doing it too. So that's another point. It's not like, oh, I have to do it. I love it because that's my, and I shoot at the same venues a lot of times. So it's like my goal is to give them something different. I'm not going to give them the same exact thing. And it's sometimes working in one venue and then trying to give
A different
a
experience.
different
Yep.
experience in the
That's
same
the hardest
room.
thing.
Yeah, like
It's the hardest
like
thing
I
ever.
photograph a lot at the Pleasantdale Chateau.
Mhm.
So a lot of people like the library, right? The library has 4 walls. So I literally I'm actually going to do a reel of all the bridal party photos that I've done in there, and I've done I think a 40-person bridal party.
I saw that
Okay.
picture.
In
Dude,
the library? The
and
one
the-
where
dude.
the piano is?
No,
No.
it's
The
where
smaller
the
room
fire
with
right,
the
right
tiger
outside
where
the
the
stripe.
reception
fireplace,
room. Right outside the reception room with a little.
the library.
Hallway.
Little room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't fit 40 people in there.
I had almost 40 people in there.
And he had an 8-foot softbox. on.
Yeah,
Shit.
yeah. So it's like I try, I try to create where like I've used all the walls and try to create something that's unique to them because again, that's what motivates me. I
Was-
want to create something different.
What was
Different,
that? One frame to fit everybody, or you had to do multiple?
Oh, I did
You had to
multiple,
stitch
and
it.
so I actually,
No wonder.
I was inside the fire. So there's a fireplace there. It's not it's not working. But I'm in there, and the camera's like this,
Yeah.
and I'm just all right. Next,
Yeah.
next,
Oh,
next.
Shit.
So it's but I like it. I enjoy it. Like I enjoy the process. Like people are like, oh, you're crazy. It takes forever to edit, and it does take. It's not
Yeah,
just
but
like
you're also not doing 20 of those
Yeah.
images. Like,
yeah, and how many of those dramatic or composites do you do? I'm like, I don't have a certain number. Like it could be one,
Right.
it could be 10, but just it's not all of them because you need a whole
that's
day.
not
Yeah,
practical.
some-
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
not
of time for
practical.
that.
Because again, at the end of the day, and that's the thing, like when people inquire, like sometimes it's like they're like, oh, but my parents want to know if you do the other photos. So I'm like, yes, and that's why I include galleries so they can see a full
Right.
gallery.
That's similar to what happened to you.
this
you know?
morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the thing is, they
traditional photos. No.
yeah, because they go on their
How dare
Instagram.
you?
Wrong person.
Yeah, they go on your Instagram and they're like, "Wow, like these are good, but like, what about the other stuff?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
my
Yeah.
family wants some family portraits.
Right.
Of course, you get all those."
That's exactly Karen's thing this morning.
That's
Photos,
all
people
because
looking
like
at the camera.
And actually,
you know,
this has opened up opportunities for other events. So I've done like graduation parties, and people book me because of the what I do. Like
Yeah.
they want.
You did
so
that
family-
graduation party at the Pleasantdale, right? Was that
No,
was
I
that
did
Spanish
one-
kid?
I did one at the Venetian,
Venetian,
and
yeah,
I
you
did
go.
another one at the
It was like a wedding.
Leonard's in
Leonard's
It was
Plaza.
with the Spanish kid, right?
Yeah.
That was in the Venetian.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought it
And
was
you did a
Pleasantdale for some reason.
composite?
Yeah,
For the
I did
graduation
party
I did
was
family.
like-
I did a family. So now I'm doing bride party, and I'm doing like a family like type of stuff.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, those are the photos that they're printing.
Yep.
So I'm finding, okay, how can I make it meaningful? Like they'll print the family and the bridal party over a photo of just them two.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know?
that's true.
Definitely.
And I mean, that's an easy transition into portraits too.
Yeah.
Like I can see why you want to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because I love and this ties into going back to like the black and white, the process of like the photo coming to like that black and white coming to be. Now it's coming to be because I'm putting it in Photoshop, and so I get
That's the
that
dark
same-
room.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
the dark room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my excitement too. Like my excitement is like putting it together, like lighting it, getting it all. But then it's also like when I'm working on it, like
Yeah.
it takes more time. But
Listen, this groomsman was a dickhead. I'm gonna make him a little bit more shadowy here, so nobody sees him.
I had a during COVID a groom's brother who didn't want to take off his mask.
No way.
I swear to God. So he didn't want to take off his mask the whole entire day. We were doing family photos. So we did the bridal party.
We had one of those.
Yeah, we had a
Well,
few of those during
Yeah.
COVID.
So during the bridal party, he kept it on. The bride was like, "Are you gonna say no? Okay, all right." So I did my job, and then I'm like, you know what? The bride, the couple really wanted the photo. The bride wanted the photo. How the fuck am I gonna do this? So what I
Put
did
him
is
at the end.
I did a portraits of after the ceremony. I did portraits of the family, and the dad reached to the son, and he's like, "Take that shit off. It's for your brother's family photo. Like you're not gonna keep it up for the family photo. You're here with everybody. Took it off. So I grabbed I
That-
Photoshop
The head swap.
the
Nice.
head swap, and I remember I'm like, all right, and I like when it's like on the moment, you're like this is the opportunity.
Yeah.
So I made sure it was his left side. Put him on the left side. Photographed it, and then I said, "Hey, I have something for you." And I sent it to the bride. I'm like, I got him without the
Nice.
mask. But it's crazy because like they don't see the value in it. They're like,
Yeah.
he really didn't want to have it. It was because I found out it was because the wife wasn't at the wedding. She was, they had a new. I understand they had a newborn, but it's your brother's wedding.
Yeah, just like
Right,
take it
just
off.
quickly,
real quick.
don't
Yeah.
breathe.
Or like he could have said, "Can you put me here?"
Yeah.
And you could have just like stitched them
Yeah.
over or
Yep,
something.
yep.
Like,
Yeah.
Mhm.
So, but it worked out. So like that's why I try to do it with bridal party, family, get something that's meaningful.
I think photographer needs to pay. I think the importance of year wise. I think photographer needs to pay more importance to family photos.
Yeah.
I think a lot when I see a lot of photos, like I think it comes second or third compared to like wedding portraits, like couples
Yeah.
portraits.
Mhm.
But I think family photos should.
it's the same thing with wedding party too. Like I know a lot of people teach this, like those are your future clients, and I'm guilty of that. I want to get things done quickly, and so sometimes I'm just speeding
Right,
through,
yep.
and but sometimes you do click with the
Yeah,
wedding
of
party
course,
and
yep.
the family, and But yeah, I feel like some people don't really. They just take them wherever, like
Yeah.
bad lighting,
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah,
Out
you
of
yeah,
know,
yeah.
misfocus, bad lighting,
yeah,
like
freaking dappled
yeah.
light, like the dad's eyes,
Right,
like
right. Somebody's
overexposed.
But
covered in the
and,
back.
and all
Yeah.
it takes is literally maybe a minute to be like, okay, let's move to
Yeah.
this side of the. It's also knowing, hey, where the sun is. Okay,
Right,
where's the
right.
light?
Some people
Like,
are
Just figure it
scared
out.
to
yeah,
for instance, like you have a wedding at the Liberty House. Obviously, you want the city in the background. I almost never shoot
Yep.
family photos towards the city because the sun is always
Lighting.
on there.
Yep.
And I tell them, like,
Yeah.
we can do one if you want. It's not going to look
Yeah.
great,
Yeah.
but can we
But
do
we're
it
gonna
my
do
way
this one.
after?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of
Always.
people are scared to,
Yeah. They
take
need to.
charge
Yep.
and upset them. Like, you
yeah.
have to.
You have to, and they appreciate because
Oh yeah.
you know how many times, and I'm not gonna say like to my own horn, but like couples, they like a part of bridal party or like aunt, uncle or something. Like, what? I really appreciate how you took charge of this situation.
Yeah. Yep. They
Because
come
they,
to
they
you.
notice
Yep.
it. They notice
Mhm.
it because they've been part of a lot of
Of
weddings,
other weddings,
and they
yeah.
see other photographers that they're like they don't know
Disaster.
they don't know what to do.
Yep.
So being confident in what you're doing because they look at you as the professional. You
Right,
might not
right.
think like you might feel somewhere, but they look at you for direction. Okay, what we're gonna do, and you take charge. People start
Yep.
moving. You just gotta
Yep.
you gotta talk a little louder. You have to be
Take
organized.
control.
She has
Yep.
to scream at people and grab
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, no, but
You
that,
have
but
to. You
people
need to.
appreciate
Show
Yeah.
it.
people
Oh, yeah.
around.
You
But they
need to.
appreciate it. And they're like,
Yes.
oh, thank you so much. Thank you, and they'll be
Yep.
like at the end, like, oh my, thank you so much for
Appreciate that.
for
Yep.
working with the family and bringing everybody. Because again, you think these people, some of these people, they've done this before, but it's like they never done it before. So
I
you have
can't,
to.
yeah. I can't tell you how many times we've gotten people like our relatives like after we're all done with your list, can you do a photo of me and my wife, which is
Right.
like
Right. Yep.
the bride's brother.
Yep.
Then they go, yeah, we just got married and we have no photos of it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
So sad, right?
I'm just like, are you kidding me? Like the last wedding we did, the bride's brother and his husband, they got married somewhere in the UK, right? That's what he told me. He was like, they have no good photos of them too. I'm like, but it was your wedding. Like, how do you have not
Yeah.
one good photo? Like,
Yeah.
so we took a nice formal shot of them. I'm just like, this is like standard.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
Yeah, they
It's
ran out of
crazy.
time because the photographer was making composites of the wedding party.
Yeah, right. No, and that's a good point that you bring up because actually I booked a client who she reached out to me. I'm not gonna say the venue because I don't know if they've listened to this or but the photographer, New Jersey photographer, shot the wedding. Beautiful venue, right? Beautiful venue. She said they got no photo. There's not one photo of him and her looking at the camera close up.
Yep.
There's
Because
not
of the venue?
one at the venue. The photographer that I looked at. They shared the information with me with the photographer. Good photographer, but didn't get one photo of her. Them two together looking at the camera.
Traditional
A
ones,
tradition,
yep.
just
Yep.
looking at the camera.
What, in front of
Yep.
the house or somewhere in the
No,
Just
any,
at the
any.
venue. He
Just
said.
just
At the
stand the
venue.
formal shot.
Stand-
of
the
the
venue,
venue.
venue prevented that from happening?
No, and the
No.
venue.
The
It was a
photographer.
beautiful venue.
The
So
photographer.
so I can't even say that like
Focus.
it's an ugly venue or anything. So great situation. Like venue was great, weather was great, everything was on par.
Pretty much,
But-
she just did creative shots, right?
Yeah, she just did
Mm.
creative shots or this
Yep.
stuff that the couple that doesn't value it. And
Yeah.
sometimes that traditional shot, as much as creative as people want to be, you have to always think you need to
Yeah.
have the basics.
It's
And-
the traditional ones
Yeah.
they post and send it out as thank you cards.
It's the ones they
yeah.
print and the ones
They
that
put
end
it
up
on the
cards.
refrigerator.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah.
would tell them. I always tell them we're gonna do like one or two of these. These are the ones that your family and your
Yeah.
parents are gonna print. That's why I always say that.
Yes, yes.
And
These
they go,
in the
yeah, let's get it
refrigerator.
done. And
Yep.
I just
Yeah.
smile at
Yes.
me.
Takes
boom,
2
Look at
boom.
me.
seconds.
Yep.
And so
Vertical,
Yeah.
horizontal.
Of course.
and
yep.
some of the younger people, like the younger couples now, as you move out of that age group of people getting married, your clients are still going to be at the same age, right? So what happens is I think I'm seeing this. I don't know if you guys are seeing this, but a lot of them are not taking into account like grandparents. Like they're forgetting all about like grandparents or like.
Mm.
So what I'm seeing is on the wedding day I have to then be like, okay, that's your grandparent? Okay, let's get a photo with
Mhm.
them.
Like,
Let's bring.
Why the
and
fuck are they
actually-
not in the photo?
Yeah,
Mhm.
and that's something that's new to me, strange to me. And what I do is I try to really do a good like I'll get them. Even I remember I did the one this year where it was in the ballroom. Right, we were in the ballroom. I made sure to take them outside of the ballroom. Right. And so I can have a nice clean background, no lights or anything crazy. Just have something nice, clean, so that it's like a nice portrait for them. And it took me maybe 5 minutes to get them out of the ballroom onto on the hallway and get a photo.
Yep.
And maybe they didn't appreciate that now, but maybe when
yeah.
grandma is no
Oh,
longer
yeah.
here.
They're gonna print that photo for
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
funeral.
they'll definitely appreciate it in the future. And
Oh,
it
yeah.
I had,
even ties in with like family dynamics. So the last wedding we did too, she didn't want her mom helping her get ready. She's like, I don't need her energy during this process. Fine. She couldn't get into the dress, so she had to be sewn into the dress. Who's the only one that knows how to sew? Mom. So we finally got mom in there, sewed her into the dress, got her into it. I don't know if she still appreciated that step of it, but she didn't have a portrait of her or her mom alone later on in the day. So I was doing family photos. I go to her. Let's do one of you and your mom. Not for her. I did it for her mother because I was like, she's kicked her mom out of prep. Her mom actually came and saved the day by getting her into her dress. So I was like, let's do the portrait of your mom. Her husband was like, you don't have to if you don't want to. So I kind of felt, I was like, you really don't have to if you don't want to, but I think you might appreciate it in the future. She's all right, let's just get it done. So we got it for her in the future. And I know in the future she'll probably appreciate it. Remember that moment of like, my mom saved the day. And now I have this picture of the two of us. So it's all those family dynamics too that you have to deal with.
And then she took one with her dad too right after.
Because I told her to.
Yeah.
I guess she
It's hard to say because you obviously you don't know the dynamics, but I know from experience, like one time we did a wedding and the bride was just very like frustrated and like pissed off. The mom didn't do anything, so we had the dress hanging like on a door frame, and the mom just like goes around it, and she like chewed her mother up because of it. She's like, "My dress is there. You're gonna drop my dress," and her mom didn't even come close to the
Yeah,
dress. Now she wants no prep photos with her mom. So she kicks her mom out of the room, and I'm just me and Jen are just like, what the fuck just happened? We shot the wedding. A couple of days later, she goes, I know you probably don't have, but is there any other photos with me and my mom? Jen told her straight up, like, you kicked your mother out of the room. Like
not
we
there. How are
can't
you gonna-
magically
Mhm.
Yeah.
have her appear in your photos. She was so upset, like with
Mhm.
herself.
Mhm.
And I'm just like, well, what the hell you kicked her out for?
Yeah,
Like,
why
she
would
didn't
you
do nothing.
that?
We
She
can-
did nothing.
for a simple fee.
Yeah,
of-
I heard. I
Jen
mean
could
now.
dress up as your mom.
I mean now.
for a simple fee of $5.99.
Well, the couple's no longer together, so at least she'll have the opportunity, hopefully in the future, to.
We can have a mommy
Redo
and me
this.
session.
But it got to that moment where like when we sat down, we read that email, and it's like Jen. A lot of time when she answered, when things like that happen, she tries not to like put it on. Like even though we know they're to
Yeah.
blame, she's not gonna tell them flat out
Yeah.
it was your fault. But in this situation, we had to like hey, you kicked your mother out. Like I mean, what more do you want? Like
And that's something like it's when we talk about like job responsibilities and what we do. And sometimes, you think like, you because experience, right? This happens again. You're like, no, I gotta go and tell
Yeah.
her, like, look, I know you're upset
you
at your mom
should,
right
yeah.
now.
can we take a picture?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we,
we
we
should
need
get her
we need
back
to take a
in.
picture. You're gonna value these photos tomorrow, weeks, months, but you're gonna value these photos. So don't let this short term situation that just occurred upset you, or just get the photos. We get it done. You don't have to look at them after your wedding. You're gonna appreciate them. I think
Yeah.
Better to have it, not
Sometimes.
need it. You know?
Yeah.
yeah,
Just
and
take
that,
it.
and especially with especially crazy family dynamics, there's so much tension sometimes, and it's like what the littlest of things can trigger certain reactions, and just kind of working around that and just making sure that we
So,
get
so what did we learn from Leo da Silva today? So we don't turn this
Nothing.
into a 4 hour. So we don't turn this into a 4 hour podcast. And then we
Invest,
have,
We learned
invest.
that Leo could talk.
Yeah. And invest as much as you can into your education, into your business.
Yes, yes. Always,
Yeah.
always learn.
even if
come
you don't
from
think that there's always something to learn from someone. Even if you
Everyone,
don't think there is, there's
everything. Yep.
always something to learn.
And-
Even if someone has a little less experience than you do, in
Exactly.
your mind, there's always something to learn. Even if they're in a completely different field from you, right? You can learn something from them because business is business, sales is sales, business is all that stuff. It's something that you can transfer from one to the other. You can learn. It's another human being that you can learn from.
Mhm.
Yeah, you can't, because that's another thing that you brought up. That's amazing. Is that there's a lot of photographers out there. They'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to learn from this person because I have more experience in this." It's not about experience. It's about the value that what are they doing that makes them so successful or attracts you to their work. They can have a year experience, but if there's something that they do that you
Yeah.
appreciate and you value, then that's your go to. Like, okay, all right, it comes back to that ego, like, oh, just because they have more experience, that means I can't take their work. No, it's like I don't look at like I don't even. I've never had that cross my mind. I was like, they're doing that. I want to know how to do that.
I feel like we've all been guilty of that.
Yeah.
When we were NBA photographer that went to speak, like she kind of had like a vibe of like, I don't want to say she had this person had a big ego, but just came across as like very high end, you know,
A little
and
pretentious.
yeah, and that type of personality, I
We
know.
were all like,
Yeah, I
Yeah.
the four of us. We're just like, because we, you
No,
know,
that was Karis's vibe though.
Yeah.
Karis was into it.
no, but yeah, oh, okay, so three of us.
Yeah.
I've been
Well,
following
she-
her.
well, you liked her fashion
She's
and all
taking
that
she's
stuff.
taking her workshop.
But the three of us, like, I feel like we all have a very similar
like,
personality.
Pretentious.
It's not a personality that we mesh with, right? But I'm glad I stayed in the class because she gave me a couple of wake up calls
Yeah.
when she was teaching, and I was like, you know what, she's fucking right.
But she was very real.
Yeah. She was straight like
Very straightforward.
Business.
And
very
sometimes
real,
you need to hear that, and it goes. Sometimes people need that talk. It's that critique. You know, they need to be told.
Right.
Even if nobody wants to be told that they're doing something wrong, right?
Right.
You know, everybody wants to be like, yeah, you're great, you're amazing, you're
Right,
the best
right.
thing.
Never
But
gonna
you know,
grow.
but those times that somebody catches you on, you know, you mess up or something that could be better, that's where you're gonna hate them for that split second, but you're gonna be like, they're right. And
Yeah. I
You
know
learn
that
from that.
delivery is important. A lot of people like, well, it's you know, you got to deliver it right. I think we had this conversation with another guest, you know, like, yes, it's like, I don't mind that you tell me that I need to do something. It's how you tell me to do something,
Yeah.
right?
Oh yeah,
like
The husband and wife teams.
like working with your spouse.
Yeah,
Right?
that's what.
I think the reason why that particular speaker wrote this the wrong way, I think it was just maybe a delivery thing. But once you get past that, the content itself was good.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. Don't
I
get
was,
so
we
hung
were
up
looking
on.
like shit, like her shit don't stink.
She's talking like her shit don't stink. Who the hell does she think she is?
She's trying to get in touch. She's speaking at a lot of
Yeah.
places. You'll
But
see
she
it.
was she's a high end photographer from New York City. Her work is pretty good. So the way she came across at first, with like the three of us, just like
Real
another high end
Not
New York
Karis.
City way. You know, like, yeah. We have tea, right? We have some tea to talk
Hot
about.
topic.
Too. A hot topic.
Which one are we talking
Oh,
about? We
the
have several
TikTok
things.
The
Oh,
TikTok.
yeah. Sure.
from
Let's-
yesterday. Did you see the TikTok from yesterday?
No, I did.
That was going viral.
I don't even know.
Which
Are
one?
you on TikTok?
I'm on TikTok. I'm bad. I'm. That's
I got
another.
3 posts and they're on the phone.
You
They're
know,
on the
like-
summit.
That's-
You know, like
that's,
little young kids they're not even TikTok. It's Snapchat. Did you know?
Oh, Snapchat still
Yeah, it's
still
still-
around.
Yeah.
They went from
like,
TikTok, now
Yeah.
they're back on
No,
Snapchat.
But
like-
that's something I,
Because
Who
of
is
filters.
this?
my goal too
Oh.
for 2024 is
TikTok,
better,
more
better,
beyond
better.
TikTok.
Yeah, because a lot of stuff I could just cross platform, like the
like
content I
Reels,
create.
guess,
Yeah, I
Cross
can.
post. You can cross post that
Ben,
stuff.
Yeah.
the TikTok that we're referring to circulated yesterday about this woman sipping on her coffee saying, one of my Roman empires is wedding photographers. One photographer quoted me over 10K to shoot my wedding, which means she can make my yearly salary in 5 days. Which in and of itself, I think, wasn't too controversial until you get into the comments. And a lot of back and forth. What hit me the most, of course, you can have people like, oh, I would never spend that. My photographer costs $1,500 and my images are great. And photographers, how they make all this money, just click one button, which is mostly uneducated people. I think what hit the bar with a lot of us was there was photographers in there that were saying, I would never charge that. That's ridiculous, blah, 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 blah. Or what actually constitutes making that amount of money for a wedding, which are people that maybe they aren't experienced as the rest of us, and that
but
was their
this is
opinion. but-
5-day wedding?
No, so what she was saying that if she's
client.
charging you $10,000 for a wedding, let's say you do 5 weddings that month or whatever, you're making $50K,
her
which is her
salary.
yearly salary. So she doesn't understand why it would be
Well, how about
So
I worked
much.
for a whole year to make
how
50
about
grand.
bumping up? How about bumping up that salary a little
Yeah.
bit? You
Yeah,
know, like,
about wanting
But
more
go
from
get-
your
go get a
life.
better
You know?
job.
That's what a lot of the comments said too.
don't come for us. Leave us
Yeah.
alone.
Yeah.
That's like
No, I think that comes to someone that's small thinking, and just because she makes 50,000,
Right.
nobody's talking anything about her making her money. You can't then critique somebody for charging a certain
what
amount for
they're
a service
making.
that they provide, an experience that they provide, because everybody is entitled to charge whatever they find is suitable. You know, you're not
It's-
forced to
yeah.
hire someone.
It's
you know?
it's supply and demand, guys.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
if the photographers were not, if that was not sustainable, they wouldn't be at 10 grand. Okay. There's a reason why they're charging what they're charging.
There's photographers 15, 20, 25,000 is because there's a demand for them,
For them,
and
yeah.
and more power to them. You know, if they can command that, then bravo. It's and this goes back to any industry. Like with the salon, people are like, oh, you guys charge $80 for a haircut. I pay $20 for a haircut. It's the same thing, but we're busy. Like that's why there's super cuts, and that's why that's and there's nothing wrong with the super cuts.
The lemon tree.
Is
It's
that the
the
name of
same.
the salon, Lemon Tree?
No. Lemon Tree was old school from back in the day.
Lemon tree?
That's where I used to get my haircuts as a kid.
The lemon tree had $5 haircuts.
Yeah.
My
And the
haircut
malls.
was
Is that
the
a
Flow
New
Bee.
York?
Yeah, it was like
New
New
York
York.
thing.
Yeah.
Mine was the Flow Bee.
Floby.
Yeah, mom and dad in a garbage bag.
No, but it's true. Like and I don't understand why people can recognize this in like big brands. Like I know I'm not gonna go walk into Louis Vuitton every day. I'll probably walk into a Target.
Yeah.
I know where I'm going. But when it comes to like smaller businesses and services, then they feel like there's a right to pick on like what you can charge them, or say like, I can't afford you 10, but would you do it for 4? And it's like,
and that's a bully.
Right.
yeah,
It's a bully. They know they can, small business, they can try
And
to bully
she's
you.
probably saying that because she's like, oh my God, wedding photographer. Like, she's not going to say that
she
if
doesn't have
doctors
that.
get paid in 1 hour $10,000.
Mhm.
Oh, he's a surgeon. Like,
yeah. The perception in the comments was a lot of like,
Yeah.
you're just clicking a button.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or,
you're clicking a button for
Yeah.
$10,000.
yeah, you're just a photographer.
So you fucking do it then.
Yeah.
and we talked a lot about everything that we have to deal with: family dynamics,
Mhm.
coordinating the
Yeah.
day. Leo spent, putting in the work to do the art pieces that he creates for
The
you. It's not
liability.
just
Yep.
Yeah.
showing
Yeah.
up and walking
We're
away.
like therapists,
Yeah.
Like the emotional attachment to these images.
But
Yeah.
is it, in their minds, is it worth 10,000?
Yeah.
Is that
That-
alone worth
yeah,
10,000?
depends. Some people it
Don't-
is.
My opinion is this. Listen, if you don't want to pay 10,000, don't
Yeah,
hire
go
that one. Go find someone else.
Yeah.
that charges
Mhm.
$1,500.
And then sometimes that's and sometimes it's like the clickbait, and sometimes it's
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
they're trying to
Yeah.
get the followers, and they need to get
Viral.
Yeah,
Yep.
they because at the end of the day, like nothing's gonna change. Nobody's gonna go and do it now because she made a post. They're gonna do it for 5,000
Right.
or 2,000, and
Yeah.
and it comes down to bent supply and demand, but also there's many. The beautiful thing about the industry, there's people that will charge $500 to shoot your wedding, and there's people that will charge $50,000 to shoot your wedding.
Mhm.
Now
Yes.
you have to pick. You make your
Yeah.
decision.
Mhm.
Choose your pick.
Yeah,
And
because
it showed there's a lot of education that used to be made, and a lot of, especially for newer
Yes.
photographers that were in there, and like, I could never. It doesn't cost me that much to run my business or do a wedding, and it's just like
Those are the-
clearly
You know what it is?
you're in a
Also-
market where you can't,
Yeah.
which is
You also have other
understandable. Fine.
photographers are giving BS answers too, that are BS answers that I don't know, like, oh well, my gear costs. Like no one gives a shit like about
Yeah.
how much your gear costs. Okay?
Yeah.
And the thing is, you're not going to get new gear for every
Every-
shoot.
yeah.
All right. So I mean, yes, you do have expensive gear, but the thing is, you're giving the wrong answer.
Answer to the
Yeah,
question.
yeah,
Yeah, that
right.
was
That's
annoying
not-
me too. They were
I was
like,
you guys are not helping our situation.
No.
Here. It has nothing to do with your gear. All right. Like it has to do with your experience, and it has to do with your experience. Has to do with the experience that you're able to
Given.
provide. All right.
Mhm.
And also your market, like where you are too, has a lot to do with it too. Like,
yeah, I would understand why someone from like middle of Idaho can't
Yeah.
charge $10,000.
Yeah.
I get it, but they also have to respect and understand where we're coming from. Where I need to charge that much because it's
Shit.
expensive to live
Fuck
here.
yeah. To get to the cities, $80.
I was just
Yeah.
going to say
What the
that.
And if you're gonna come back to me and say, "Oh, well, don't live there," well, there's more
Yeah,
opportunities
uh-huh.
here.
Well, tell
so
my
this is what I'm
fucking
saying.
parents that when they moved here.
Ro wanted to be in Arkansas or something.
I don't want to live where you are in
Oklahoma City. Send me to OKC.
It'd be just Molina Photography.
My business model would be: you pay me what you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a broad argument. But
yeah,
that's the tea.
that's not a me problem that you can't, that you don't want to pay. $10,000.
Affordability is one thing that I don't determine that. You determine that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
If the photographers were not able to charge that, they would not charge.
They
that.
wouldn't charge out. Yeah.
Yeah.
My whole thing is like I'm not even like upset that they did that. I'm more upset like they're exposing us to make them to these incomes. Like I want the photography community to be fly under the radar. A lot of the old timers still think that photographers don't make a lot of money.
Right. Yep.
Just leave us alone. Just leave us alone. Like
What I tell a lot of people is like, you'd be surprised. A lot of photographers make the same or more than a lawyer,
Mhm.
Oh,
doctor,
yeah. Doctors. Yep.
like
I see.
and because when you say that, people are like,
No
people
way.
turn no way, because at the end of the day they think like, oh, you make
Yep.
$50,000 a year. I'm like, try to times that by 4 or 5 or 6.
Well, you know, I don't like Rolando said, we don't want to tell people that.
Yeah, that's
you
what
know?
I'm saying.
So the moral of that story is, your budget is your budget. That's kind of your issue. That's your problem. We business owners, we price ourselves the way that we need to price it in order to run a sustainable business and to basically receive what we're worth. Be paid, compensated for what we're worth. No two photographers are created equally, and that's why you're going to have photographers who are going to be $500 for a whole day. Like Leandro back in 2010. You can get him for actually it was $500 for the whole day.
Yeah, it was
for 6 hours.
Yeah, for 6 hours.
Yeah.
6 hours.
You could have gotten Moses Cruz in 2015 for $60 for the whole thing. Like there is a photographer and for every there's a photographer for every client. There's a budget for every client. You just got to find the one that fits everything that you need, that checks off all the boxes that need to be checked off. That's not the photographer's problem that you can't afford them. I don't know why you're giving the photographer grief, but that's not their problem.
Yep. Awesome.
Who knew that Leo was such a talker?
We did. We've been around Leo enough.
I'm trying to catch. I'm like, I think I'm talking to you. Let me shut up. What it's bad? I ran. I think
You're
I
just
rambled.
flowing. It's okay.
No, it's fine. It was good.
It was very valuable information. It was good. It wasn't like rambling and giving crap. It was very good, insightful stuff.
That one time that I talk about my wife and we have this agreement where anything under $200, we don't have to tell each other.
Wait,
right?
I thought it was $500.
No, it's $200.
It was $2,000.
No,
If for carrots, it's $2,000.
Yeah, it's $200. So like one time I was on Facebook Marketplace and I saw this canoe.
Oh, don't do the canoe story. All right, we're done.
Get the fuck out of here.
And that's a wrap, you guys. Thank you so much, Leo, for joining us today. We really appreciate it.
I
It
thought you
was
were going somewhere
awesome.
else.
He was waiting to catch me with that. And that's the perfect segue to the end. Thank you, Leo,
No, thank you
so
for
much
having
for
me.
joining
Yeah,
us.
we
Thank you for
appreciate you taking the
appreciate it.
drive down
So
here.
how can people find you, Leo?
Find me on Instagram, Leandro _ Silva _ photography. And it's very long. But I promise if you just type in Leandro, Leandro, I'll probably be one of the first things to pop up. So.
That's awesome.
Thanks again.
Thank you
We
for
appreciate it.
stopping by.
Closing out?
Yeah, go ahead, Ben.
No. You can find
Focus
us on
Instagram.
Instagram at focus.af. And you could find us on website, on the web. Focus.
The internet.
On the interwebs.
Focus-af.com.
But that's pretty much a wrap for the show today. Thank you guys all so much for hanging out with us on today's episode. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You guys focus AF?
Yep. Thank
I'm ready.
you.
I'm ready for lunch.
All right.
let's
Have a
get
good
out of
one,
here.
guys.
All right, guys. Adios.
Bye.
Thank you.
Focused AF is a fun, business-focused podcast for wedding creatives.
Co-hosted by award-winning husband and wife wedding photography teams, Ben and Karis.
And Jen and Ro, where we help fellow wedding creatives with their sales and marketing.
With laid-back conversations and real talk with some of our most favorite people in the universe.
And with that being said, are you focused AF?
I am Focused AF today.
We are Focused AF.
I think I might be Focused AF.
Welcome to the Focused AF podcast.